Hey, welcome to Movie Buffers, Episode 3. It is Saturday, March 12th. It's about 2 o'clock p.m. And today I want to talk about The Mist, the 2007 Frank Darabont film. Now, I had only seen this movie one other time, being back in 2007. I went to a screening, which was an awesome audience participation screening. I had never seen that many people so vocal and in all of the best ways. It was mostly just reactions to the things happening in the movie. But I recently picked up an out-of-print Blu-ray of The Mist. And the reason I picked it up is because I don't remember why I was looking at it, but it was like over $300 on eBay for a couple copies. And I was like, why is this? And I guess it's because it's out of print. So I picked up a copy at the Goodwill. I found a Goodwill online. So this version of the movie has the black and white version and the theatrical. So I chose to watch the black and white because I guess that was the original version that Frank Darabont intended for people to see. So I turned on the Frank Darabont intro on the Blu-ray before the movie starts, and he talks about how Stephen King was inspired by old black and white monster movies when writing the original story. So he fought for black and white. He said the studio didn't want it because they didn't think it would sell well. He states that he originally intended this to be his version of the film. The movie opens up, it's the beginning of a storm, and we see TJ, Thomas Jane, painting movie posters. I mean, what a cool job. How do I get that job? Was that ever a job? I think people did paint like Indiana Jones posters and some action movies, like Last Action Hero. They used to have actual people painting those movie posters, so maybe this is a nod, an homage to that profession. And the gunslinger painting is an awesome reference for a film that we never really got. Also pretty cool that he is painting a picture of the Thing. It might be a reference to the old Thing, the one that's black and white, referring back to the old black and white movie monsters Frank Darabont talked about Stephen King being inspired by. And first off, I want to say the black and white version seems more like a play than I remember. A very interesting choice from a 3-time Academy Award nominated director. The acting style really drives the tone of the movie, and I wish more films were made like this today. Like, let's just make an intense horror movie where everyone loses their minds and say unintelligent shit. There's no hero in this movie. And if they try to be, they pay the ultimate price. Also, I would love to see a 4K restoration of the black and white version. I feel like this is something that could thrive and have a second life breathed into it around like Halloween or something. It's an opportunity for people to see this movie, which I think to be a B-rated style masterpiece. Not to mention how you can apply today's events and politics to the messages in this film. And it's eerie how much more relevant this movie is now than ever. I think it's also rare to see a movie that depicts the American military as the ultimate evil. Another thing that just doesn't seem to fly with today's politics. Frank Darabont got away with murder when it came to writing these characters, their demises, and executing it. Getting to have that disturbing ending that he wanted to have. It's also, it was funny to me how long it took for everyone to just go and look at the tentacles in the back loading dock. Instead, they were all just like yelling at Thomas Jane for being a liar, and even when multiple people were backing him up. I laughed pretty hard at that. But it was also great, and it gave me a fake news vibes, Jane and friends are trying to convince the store of alien tentacles. There's proof in the back, but everyone is quick to fight instead and debate on what's really happening. Sounds pretty familiar. I really loved when the motorcycle guy decides to go out and try to retrieve the gun from the truck, and how they pulled the legs of the motorcycle guy back into the store. There was no score or jump scare, really. The audience gets really loud, but that's it. Similar to No Country for Old Men, the filmmaker used natural reactions, gasps, and sound effects to build tension, which makes the audience feel like they're in a claustrophobic horror simulator. This movie just doesn't give a fuck about killing off its characters. I kind of feel that Marine and the clerk relationship was forced a little bit so that they could kill her off right away. But it still seemed to be quite impactful when she died. And it was very brutal. I did think that the CGI looked a little funny in this at first, but I guess it is because they did use quite a bit of computer-generated CGI. But looking at some of the special features on this, they actually used a lot of practical effects. And also, I feel like the black and white version definitely blended the creatures better than the way they looked in the original rendered theatrical version. I also really like the divide of the people in this. When I said earlier that this could easily be applied to today's events and politics and how we react to tragic, tense circumstances as a humanity, that's what I meant. It was really eerie how similar these themes were. I actually really loved the church lady's performance too, Lady Carradine or whatever, Maria Gay Harden. Or Marcia Gay Harden. I mean, she acted her ass off, man. Her rants held me to the edge of my seat. I wanted to cover my ears, but also couldn't stop listening to her. And God, I wish that Frank Darabont got to see through his vision for The Walking Dead, because I see this first season of that show written all over this movie. Fuck, man, that would have been such a good show if he just got to see it through to the end, or at least pass on his ideas and scripts to another crew instead of it going the way that it did. And then when it gets to like the lynching of the Marine guy, that was pretty hard to watch, actually. Which is crazy to say that the scariest thing in this movie are the religious people. And it also felt quite medieval. Even Thomas Jane's reaction, Jesus! They fucking stabbed him in the gut and then threw him out to get eaten by a giant lobster thing. It was pretty haunting. Pretty fucking haunting. And then this is where it's all revealed. Big shocker. The military helped scientists open a portal to see what was on the other side, and creatures leaked from another dimension. So simple. Yet again, the way it was played out was so fucking satisfying to me. Anyway, the church lady tries to turn the mob on the child for like a sacrifice or something, and then homeboy clerk just blasts her, man. I mean, what a fucking awesome scene. Here's where I wanted to talk about a little bit about the screening of this movie that I went to. It's 2007, and my mother, who is now not with us anymore, she took me and a friend of mine to go see this in Tacoma, Washington, and it was opening night, and the theater was packed. And I think I remember this being at least this. It's like one of my top 3 movie experiences ever, which is also weird because I never really watched it again, because maybe I was scared that it would never hold up to that time watching it, which I'm pretty glad that I gave it a little bit of a gap. But the audience reaction to the tentacles killing off Shermanator, it was amazing. Like, there was walls of sound, like waves of sound of people just reacting to some of the first brutal kills in this movie. And then when the Marine's clerk girlfriend gets blood sucked out of the neck and then she swells up and dies, just the reaction to that too. It was like actually feeling for the first time people's reactions to real devastating deaths on screen. And what a movie to experience that on. But when I got up to this little clerk blasting away the church lady everyone was dying for someone to stuff a sock in her mouth or something for the majority of this movie before everyone just ultimately took her side and kind of turned against the protagonists in this movie. I don't even know how that happened. Somehow, because that's what religion does. Everybody always seems to kind of side with the God part of things, because it's where the right path, especially in times of devastation and trauma, it seems just like the best, easiest path to take. Follow the church lady. Ah, man. So when he blasts her away, the crowd cheered. Like, people stood up out of their seats and were cheering, and I remember being a part of it. Like, me and my friends stood up, my mom stood up. We all just got lost and became a part of this audience. And I also was young and in a position where I was forced to be around a lot of religious people, and I didn't really know how to express myself against, how I really felt about it. So seeing a crowd unanimously hating this person, and it's mainly because of the extreme beliefs that she pushes on everybody else until it turns into a Jonestown similar scenario. So I guess they get kicked out of the store, and then in the last act, I would say, is them roaming around in the car. And they waste gas rolling up to TJ's house, and then they conveniently see a webbed up dead wife on the yard or something. Then they decide to make it out of the mist, seeing how far they can make it on the gas that they have. And then this brings us to the most uncomfortable silence in the film. You see their sense of hopelessness. You run the impossible scenarios of survival in your head with them. And it's strange how they all make this quiet suicide pact. I do feel like the kids should have more choice in this matter, but either way, 4 bullets left and 5 peeps in the car. The end of this movie is just gut-wrenching. It's an ending that has stuck with me ever since I first saw it in the theater 15 years ago. I guess in a way, even though this is only my second watch through, I think this movie holds a special place in my heart. And that's why I chose it as episode 3 of the show. I think this is a 4-star film, and it should have a second chance of life on a new updated format. I think it's better than It, 1 and 2, and a lot of Stephen King movies, actually. I can see Frank's infatuation with The Shining, and it feels like this can easily share that universe. That's my little story on when I first got to see this movie. It's a special memory. I think this is a special movie. I really wish that more people got to take chances like this, but everyone's too scared to traumatize their audience. Hereditary is one of my favorite horror movies of like the past 10 years. But honestly, being a new father, this movie hurt a little bit more swallowing it down this time. The scream of the father who just executed 3 people and his own son, only to see the fuckers from the store roll by rescued by the military. What a fucking ending, man. Holy shit. I respect it a lot, anyway, and I recommend this film a lot. You know, buy it, stream it. As for the TV show, I wouldn't fuck with it. I think I saw some of it. It was bad. Just watch this one. And also, this is the last film made by Frank Darabont, the last major motion picture. I don't know if he thinks that this is the best way to end his storytelling journey or not. It really is a hell of a note to go out on. So I think that's it. That was a quick and easy episode this time. It was this is episode 3 of Movie Buffers. If this ever gets out there, and if the Frank Darabont ever somehow hears this, hey man, respect. And why not go back and reissue this movie, repress it, get some new scans on this movie out. Let people rebuy it again. This has been Jordan. Everyone have a good weekend.